Super Bowl! Go Bills! Woo! Woo! Go Bills! Super Bowl! Woo! Shot girl! Super Bowl! Go Bills! Woo-hoo! Go Bills! Super Bowl!
Gotta win the playoffs first.
And welcome to yet another episode of Buffalo Bills pregame show. And last week, in jest, we said that it was the most important episode ever. I didn't want to mention that there, of course, was the first time I was ever on the show, so it was at least the second most important show ever. But this one, unequivocally, is the most important show in Buffalo Bills pregame show ever because playoffs, baby! The Bills are in! We did it against all odds. Despite Jared predicting a 4-year tailspin of the Bills, we have saved ourselves with one game, and we made the playoffs. Jared, win for you. Did it feel real?
It felt real. Actually, the moment it happened, like right as soon as the Ravens game ended, and I just waited for the announcers to say it. Okay, because they're like, "Oh, and the Ravens fell." And I'm like, "Come on, say it. Say the Bills made the playoffs." Say it. And they finally said it, and then, I lost it. I ran out down the street with my cowbell, and then at that point, I knew they were in.
And Sean, welcome back after a long hiatus. We're glad to have you here. The Bills are in the playoffs. When did it first come across to you like that this is real? Like this just happened?
Honestly, I still don't believe it.
All right, well, it was a glorious moment for me, so you have that something to look forward to at least. It is real. The Bills are in. The next day, ESPN was on, and they were showing the 4 playoff matchups, and the Bills versus Jaguars was one of them, and I'm like, whew, I woke up the next day and it's still going on. It was such a great feeling all week around town. It's been a great time to be in Buffalo. And as we look back at the drought here, is this the best team? Is this the team that should have broken the drought, Sean?
As far as players, I would absolutely say not. As far as coaches, yeah, absolutely.
Almost. Well, I would say both. No to both. I would say. I feel like 2015 was the year to break it, honestly. I felt like that was the Rex Ryan year. That was the most momentum we brought in. We had some of the similar talent, but I felt like that would have been the year. And better players, I don't know. I think they've all been interchangeable throughout these last 17 years, honestly. But yeah,
some teams have been worse than others.
I would say that 2015 team should have been better than the 8-8 season that they had.
I'm just glad it happened, I guess. Maybe St. Doug, given another year, could have had us in the playoffs. Maybe that team. But interesting that we bring him up. We'll talk about him coming soon. The Bills have, it would seem, the momentum going into the game, if you believe in such a thing. Jared, do you think the Bills kind of ending their season going up and the Jaguars kind of ending their season going down, will that be a factor in this game at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes momentum going into the playoffs is a factor, sometimes it's not. But this game is about momentum, and the Jaguars, I think, kind of got realized back in that 49ers game. I looked at the highlights, and basically as long as you have a competent quarterback and you have a competent game plan, you can just It almost seems like you can eat right through the Jaguars. And the other thing I think is going on is I think they're just getting tired, quite frankly. They've been a top-notch defense all season. Eventually that's going to wear down. And if you're not used to doing that good for that long, I mean, when's the last time the Jaguars have been alive this long? I think the same thing happened to the Bills in the midseason. That's why we started having horrible games.
So you're suggesting that taking a 3-game losing streak and looking terrible, we're actually just like resting up for the later rounds?
I'm not saying that's what we were actually doing, but I'm saying that's kind of what happened.
Sean, are you a believer in momentum? Do you think the Bills having ended the season positively as the Jaguars had a couple losses, does that come into play game time?
I think absolutely. You see it in all sports, hockey, get on a streak, goalies getting in a groove or whatever. But also, I agree. Like, you want to head into the playoffs with your best football, and Bill Belichick always says that. Like, getting in the beginning of the season, figure out where you're at, and if you're going into the postseason looking good, I mean, you have a way better chance of doing that. So,
very good. And Bill Belichick might know something on the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bills, unlike during Week 16, Week 17, the Bills did not control their own destiny. Things had to line up just right for us to end up in the playoffs, and against all odds, it did. So who do we think? Obviously, the generous donors of the city of Buffalo, or the area of Buffalo, Western New York, have been very generous in thanking Andy Dalton and his fundraiser, but. Is that who bears the responsibility for being in the playoffs? Like, it seems like Tyrod's name's not getting mentioned or any foundation he has. Why not any love for Adam Gase? Does he not have like little kids that he needs to take care of, or even McDermott? Like, who do we think for the Bills being where they are today?
This will shock everybody. We should thank Nathan Peterman, and this is why. If Peterman does not go into that Chargers game and throw 5 interceptions, we ride out Peterman for the rest of the season. And in my humble opinion, I don't think we're in the playoffs if that happens. Other people might disagree, but I would say thanks for showing us who you are, so we can just give Tyrod some breathing room and let him win 4 out of 6 games.
I think you've got to give all the credit to Sean McDermott. Just bring the mentality of the team to, like I said, the same as Bill Belichick does. And for me going into the season, that's what I always thought. Why would we be good this season? Because when it comes to seasons like this, you need a coach to bring you down to earth every game and to super analyze everything that he's done. And he's done a tremendous job at getting them ready for every game and just telling them, next man up, next game up, got to forget the other one, got to forget the last game, got to focus on the next one. So I think that's been the biggest change. No coach has ever done that. They've always, promised certain things you never expected, or things that, you wanted, but were just unrealistic, and they didn't talk, they didn't do what they were going to say. Like, he's done both.
Do you think you'd be as positive about McDermott if he also didn't have the same name as you?
No, I definitely, wow. I definitely like that, but I'm not going to lie. But definitely doesn't play into it very much.
I have a dark horse candidate for this question as well.
Right,
house money. I mean, hauschka's been great. And having a kicker that you go in, the 54-yard kick that you feel pretty confident, like, he can make this. You're not sitting there and be like, I don't know, we're about to give the ball away here. Like,
yeah, I would
it
agree with
seems
that.
like,
I would do.
And just game planning around, like, knowing that if we get across midfield and get stood up, we're not going to get away with nothing.
Yeah, we don't have a very good offense, so you got to have that confidence.
And I mean, I was a longtime Lindell fan. I felt he got like a bad rap by a lot of fans, but like, I'm glad to see hauschka. He's a big improvement on kicker Jesus.
I would just quickly say with Lindell, like, Gailey wouldn't even let him kick 50-yard field goals. Yeah, right. So I think, we have totally underestimated the kicker situation.
I think that was kind of Gailey's modus operandum no matter what the kicker, too, though. Like, I think he always felt that he didn't want to risk that, just the way he played the game.
Sure.
So there is a game to play this week,
right.
And no one's talking X's and O's anywhere in Buffalo, which is the funny thing. Just like, 9.5-point underdogs, we got this. And it seems like a long order, but everyone around town feels really positive about this. Let's get into the matchups. The Jaguars have come into the playoffs riding the back of a strong defense and a good offense, not elite, but they're moving the ball. Jared, How do you think we match up on their defense against our offense, which may or may not be without its most explosive weapon, LeSean McCoy?
Hate to be a downer, but not good. I mean, every category the Jaguars has it. I mean, we have, unfortunately, one of the worst offenses coming into a playoffs, like almost ever. And they have one of the best defenses in the game. So you look at it strictly from numbers, it doesn't look that good. They do a really good job getting pressure. I feel like it's going to have to be a throwing game. That's what I've noticed with the 49ers, like good, accurate throws. I think that's the way to beat the Jaguars offensively.
Last week we did see some more attempts downfield from Tyrod, though, so that could be in the game plan for sure. Do you think that our offense is going to be able to stack up against their defense?
I think it's going to be a ground and pound, 3 tight end sets, just use DiMarco, use the players that you have. I think Murphy will be a dark horse there. I think he's really good, fresh legs. And I do think, they're really good, but I really think it's going to be a punt battle of the century and field goals. I think hauschka is going to come in big. I think it's going to be low scoring. Bortles has really struggled against zone defenses, so you got to take that into account pretty heavily. So both quarterbacks are going to struggle a lot. Both defenses are really good. I think it's going to come down to a turnover in the end, and then possibly a hauschka field goal. So that's how I think it's going to
go. You mentioned multiple tight end sets. Do you think that the game being in Florida again, if O'Leary scores another touchdown, we'll get some more shots of Grandpa up in the stands?
Oh, heck yeah. I definitely expect that. And, he almost scored 2 touchdowns last game. Right. He barely missed on that one. I definitely think tight ends, Charles Clay, he's going to want to show out there, still being in Florida, so yeah.
We haven't mentioned Dareus being a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We traded him away because we were better off without him, it would seem that management felt. And he is now one of the most expensive backups in the NFL, defensively at least. Yeah. Jared, do you see Dareus being a factor in this game?
Not really, no. I mean, it was really funny. Last week they showed some Marcell Dareus highlights for the season, and they didn't show one Jacksonville highlight. They had to use Bill's highlights because he hasn't done anything in Jacksonville. So there might be a little bit of the whole playing your old team mentality there, but for the most part, I think we're going to see more of the starters than him or Fowler or anybody like that.
And Sean, I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to throw in posluszny into that as well because you've owned both of those jerseys. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, I have.
And Jacksonville versions or Bills versions?
Obviously Bills.
Oh my God.
So do you think we'll see anything from either of those players?
Definitely posluszny has always been a solid player, throughout his entire career. I think Dareus, honestly, I think both coaches, or I think Marrone will screw up and possibly put Dareus in there, maybe more than he should. Maybe Dareus has a play or two, but, I think Marrone's one of those coaches that it's kind of like Rex Ryan, and he's got a huge ego, and he thinks way more of himself and his game plans than he really should, and instead of motivating his team like he should. So, it's kind of the same thing in Florida, I think. Marrone and Gase, they run this kind of Wild West Florida type thing because they don't have great fans down there. So, run that. It's probably good press and everything. But, I see Dareus get a little bit, but not really.
Switching the sides of the ball, do you think the Bills' defense will be able to stop Leonard Fournette and the offensive attack of the Jaguars?
Yeah, they did last game. What's the Miami's running back? He's pretty good. Yeah. And they really, even the first game against them, as that game went on, he did well in the first, and then they got better, and then last game obviously shut him down. He got thrown out in the fourth quarter. He wasn't really doing anything, up until that point. I think they can do a good thing. I think Leonard score. Leonard Fournette, he's an amazing back, LSU. So I think they'll shut him down, but definitely he'll probably score also.
Jared, how do you see the defense stacking up?
I think it really is all about timing more so than what we're going to do. If we get that good early start, either offensively or defensively, and are able to force them to give it to Blake Bortles more so than Leonard Fournette, and just depend on him throwing the ball around, because that's when the team struggles. But the only way to do that is to get ahead quick. So whether getting a defensive turnover or something along those lines, make it so that they're not rushing him. Or 3 and outs, like start off the game strong, get a 3 and out against Fournette, which is possible. The Bills have been known to bring the energy at the beginning. So that's what I think should happen there with defense.
All right, the Bills have a little bit of interesting history with the Jaguars. Jared, do you want to share some of your findings?
Well, as most people know, it was Kelly's last game in the playoffs. That was his very last game. I think he got hurt in that game too. My third worst Bills moment of all time came against the Jaguars Week 1 in 2004, where we were ahead the entire game and we lost on the last second throw, which was a force out. That rule's not even there anymore. That's the most I've ever been angry at a Bills game post wide right and Music City Miracle. And if we would have won that game, we would have gotten the playoffs. So like that was a drought ending game right there, even though it still would have been 13 years since then. But you know what I'm trying to say. So we have some history there. I just think it's great for the NFL that both these teams are in the playoffs, just to quickly say that. Like 10 years for them, 18 years or whatever for us. I just think it's great.
And one of them's going to win.
Yeah.
One of them's going to win a playoff.
Yeah.
So, Sean, what do you see the keys to the game? If the Bills are going to pull this off, what do they have to do?
You got to get Kelvin Benjamin the ball. He's a superstar. He's been getting a lot more chemistry with Tyrod lately. He definitely scored that touchdown in New England. I'm going to throw that in here. I really think he's the key to the Bills' offense. They have an amazing secondary, obviously, but with McCoy hurt, you're going to have to utilize your playmakers a lot better, and he's clearly the star on the team.
Jared, keys to the game?
Getting an early start. If we get an early start, go up 7-0, 3-0, something that makes them throw the ball, then we can control the pacing of the game and come out on top.
I'm going to piggyback what you said because there's also going to be a lot of Bills fans for this game. The tickets jump from like $70 before the end of the Bills game to like $350 for the same tickets like an hour later. Like the stadium is going to be a large portion of Bills. Our offense is not designed to come from behind, so if we can get out them, get them frustrated offensively and get them out of their game plan, and the crowd starts to get on our side, like I think if we do get ahead early, they might not have a chance to come back at all, even being 9.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So who do we pick to win?
I gotta go back to my homer ways, and I'm gonna pray to God that I've been wrong so much. Maybe I should pick the Jaguars because I've been wrong so much, but I'm going to hope this time I'm not wrong. 19-16 Bills. Gotta do it.
All right, Sean. Are you a dreamer?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think they're going to win this game. They're going to get crushed in New England the next week, but I really think they'll win. Going with a low-scoring one, I guess, too, 16-10.
16-10. All right. I'll say 24-20 Bills. We're all going the divisional round. And hopefully we'll see you back here for another episode of the divisional round of the Buffalo Bills pregame show. So glad to have Sean Lauer back. You're welcome back anytime, brother. Thanks for stopping in to Studio F. E. Next is up. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Go Bills! Woo! Super Bowl!